everybody, it's Rochelle again with another story from the Memoirs of the Redheaded Hairdresser. Today I have chosen to tell you a story that happened a couple years ago. We're going to call this one the LA guy. So this story starts out, I get a phone call from my sister, and she works up in Park City. And she tells me that there's this gentleman that goes in there all the time and he has lunch, and they became friends. And she said, he really wants to meet you. So I'm like, how does he know about me? And I guess they became friends. They friended each other on Facebook, and he's like, who is this redhead? Like, she's my dream woman. I gotta know her. So she tells me, he thinks you're his dream woman. And she's laughing, and she's like, he really wants to meet you. And I say, okay, well, tell me more about him. She's like, well, he's really nice. I don't really know if he's your type, but he's rich. And I'm like, okay, so is he like real world rich? Or is he like the small town we grew up in rich? She's like, no, like, he's really rich. And I'm like, okay, so what's wrong with him? He's short, fat, bald, ugly, old, like, what's the deal? She starts laughing. She's like, no, like, he's just a nice guy. You're friends with him on Facebook. And I'm like, I am? So I look him up, and I'm like, oh, that guy? Yeah, I only accepted his friend request because he's friends with you. And she goes, oh, well, he really wants to meet you. I'm like, all right, well, I'll reach out to him. So I message him, and I just say hi, and he's just like, hi, how are you? And he's super excited. And we just kind of chit chat, just basic conversation, get to know each other, because around this time frame is when I was seeing the wolf in sheep clothing guy. And so I didn't really pursue it a whole lot, but just, you know, just basic conversation, no big deal. And so when I broke up with the wolf in sheep's clothing guy, he was still asking me to go on dates. And I thought, you know what could dinner hurt, right? Like, my sister says he's a nice guy, so it's not going to hurt to go to dinner with him. And so he scheduled a date. And like 2 days before that date, he messaged me and said, hey, I'm really sorry that I have to cancel, but I would like to, you know, just rain check. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And he's like, well, I just got my dream job and I'm moving to LA. And I'm like, okay, well, congratulations on that. We'll see you never. Because, like, come on. That's like not even in the state, right? I live in Utah. He lives in California now. Well, he keeps writing me. And he's like, I really want you to come out here. I want to reschedule that date. And I'm like, yeah, that's how people end up like raped and murdered in gutters, right? Like, I don't know you, man. I can't go to another state. Like, what if we don't click, right? Well, so I'm telling one of my girlfriends about it, and she's like, girl, you should go. And I'm like, no. Like, no. She goes, no, really? Like, I think, she goes, ask him when it is, because I think that might be the same weekend as my competition. And if it's the same weekend as my competition, like, I'll be in LA too. And you should tell him to bring you to my show. That way you can support me. And if he's really weird, like, you have somewhere else to go. I'm like, okay. So, I write him and I tell him, okay, so what weekend? And it was the same weekend. And so I said, okay, here's the catch. I will come, but my girlfriend's having a competition, and so we need to go to that. If I'm going to come, we have to go to that. And he's like, yeah, no problem. No big deal. And so he sends me airline tickets to go to California. And so I get there, and he meets me at the airport. He picks me up, and like, we kind of like drive because the airport's kind of a ways away from where he lives. He lives in the historic district, which is right near downtown, okay? So he picks me up, we drive to downtown, he's showing me all the cool buildings and the building that he works in, and he takes me to where he lives, and I get kind of all my stuff set up there. He offered to set me up in a hotel, but I already felt bad because he was spending so much money on me already. So I just slept on his couch. So, like, the first night I'm there, he takes me to this steakhouse. Oh my God, it's seriously like the best steak I've ever had in my life. So we walk from where he lives to the downtown because it's really just not that far. And we go to this steakhouse, and it's in one of the like skyscrapers, like on the second floor. And we ate outside. They had this whole outside patio area. So you're looking up at all these skyscrapers like, oh my God, this is so pretty. And I had this steak with like this burgundy wine sauce. Oh my God, it's so good. And I took a picture of us and I sent it to my sister, and I'm like, look where I am. And she's like, oh my God, you really did it. I'm like, so, and then I had been teasing him because I told him like my favorite foods is steak and creme brulee. And I'm like, and if you find me good creme brulee, I might even kiss you. So he's like, oh, game on, challenge accepted. So after our steak dinner, he takes me over to this other place. And I'm telling you right now, 2 restaurants in LA. I would fly to LA just to eat here. But he takes me to this restaurant called Louis. And it's on the corner of 4th. And it's like white with gold writing. Is so good. They make everything in-house every single day. So we get this, we got wine and creme brulee. And I'm telling you, it was beyond good. It was so good. And so then we go back to his place. And then the next day, we get up and he takes me to the other amazing restaurant. It's called the Earth Cafe. URTH, and it's in the art district. So if you know LA, it's like the downtown LA, and then there's the historic district, and then there's the art district. So I got to see Tent City. Mind blown. And like, it's insane. You'll see like homeless guy laying against the building shooting up heroin, and somebody will like drive up in like a $300,000 car and just get out, go into the building. I'm like, you would never see that in Utah. At least I've never seen it in Utah. So anyways, I know. Get to the Earth Cafe, and oh my God, they have this Spanish latte, and the cup's like this big. Oh, so good. And they put these fancy little designs in the top, like on the cream. So the first one I got was like this flower in the top, like a lotus flower or something. And oh my God, it was like almost too pretty to drink, right? And I get this omelet with like feta cheese and spinach and purple onions, and I got a side of avocado. Oh my God, you guys, so good. And then, so we're walking around the art district, and I find this cute little dress shop. It's like a little boutique, and they have some of the cutest stuff. So I got the cutest green dress. It's like fancier than a sundress, but not like formal. And I love it. I'm so excited. And so we get back, and we're just kind of walking up and down the street in the historic district because I'm looking at all the beautiful buildings because I love old architecture. And so I'm just in awe of all these beautiful things. And I hit this crack in the sidewalk, and I kind of twist my ankle, and it busts the strap on my sandals, my favorite wedges. So he's like, that's okay. We'll just get you a new pair. It's no big deal. So we go over to the mall, and he buys me a new pair of shoes. Like, anything you want, just get whatever you want. Whatever one you want. And I'm not used to that. So we're just walking around the mall, and I see like the perfume that I normally wear has been discontinued. And I was just so upset. And so I'm smelling different perfumes, and I found one that I loved, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to get me a bottle of that when I get home. And he tells the lady, I'd like to get a bottle of that, please. And I was like, no. I'm not asking you to buy that for me. No. And he's like, no, it's okay. I want you to have it. I'm like, okay. And he's like, listen, when you're with me, everything's on me. So I want you to like be okay with that. Okay. Like, I like doing this for you, so you got to let me. I'm like, okay. So then we go back and we get ready and we go to my friend's show. And he's such a trooper. Like, he sat through the whole thing, was super nice, and he didn't complain because, like, my friend's a bikini competitor, and the bikini competitors go on last. So he sat through all of the men and women and all the other divisions and didn't complain once. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. So I'm thinking, you know, he's not bad. And then we all go to dinner with my friend and her husband, and, you know, all of us, we go to dinner, and it was just super, super nice. And, you know, I go back to his place and I get ready to pack up my stuff, you know, because I'm going to be leaving the next day. And I'm like, you know, he's a pretty nice guy. So he takes me to the airport and he sees me off, and he's like telling me, so I bought tickets to this Quentin Tarantino thing in a couple of weeks, and I really want you to come. So it's kind of like Sundance film festivals, but in LA. And they're going to be doing like an awards ceremony, and they're going to be playing Reservoir Dogs, and I've already bought tickets. There's an after party. It's going to be great. I really want you to come to this. And I'm like, that's in August. That's like the busiest time of year for me. And he's like, please, please come. I'm like, I don't know if I can take off work and miss the income associated with that, when I also have all of the extra like school fees and got to buy school clothes for my kid. And I don't know if I can make that work. And he's like, well, I really want you to come. Please think about it. Okay. And I get on the plane and I fly home, and like, at the salon, and all of my friends, like all my coworkers and all my friends are asking me, oh my gosh, and they're asking me all about it, and they're super excited about it, and they're tell us all about him. And I'm like, well, he makes a lot of money. He works for a high net family. He manages their like financial portfolio, and he does like multi-million-dollar deals like all the time. So I tell him, like, he's really sweet. Like, he would treat me the way I want to be treated. He's not really my type, though. And they're like, oh, my God, Rochelle, you're so picky. And I'm like, I want to be attracted. But I'm like, well, they're like, well, maybe it'll grow. And I'm like, I don't know, you guys. Like, he's a bad kisser. Like, a bad kisser. They're like, oh, my God, Rochelle, seriously? I'm like, no, really. I'm telling you right now, he's like rigor mortis tongue. Like, he just sticks it straight out like, And I'm like, what are you doing? You can't, like, what was he, like 45? I'm like, in your 45 years of life, you didn't learn how to kiss? Like, you gotta at least move it around, right? And I had told him this, but anyways, I know I'm a little too blunt. But I'm telling my girlfriends, they're like, oh my God, Rochelle. I'm like, no, you guys, seriously. And they're laughing at me. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, if he's that bad of a kisser, he's going to be bad at everything else. Okay. So, and I'll apologize. This story is going to be long, but I promise you it'll be worth it. Okay. So he calls me, you know, almost every single day he calls me. But so he called me and he's like, have you thought about the trip, you know, to see the Quentin Tarantino thing? And I'm like, I really want to. Like, that'd be really, really fun. I would love to meet Quentin Tarantino. That would be so cool. I'm like, but I don't know. Like, I really don't think I can take off. I really don't. Like, it's just going to cost me too much money. And it'll put me in a financial bind. And he's like, look, I told you, when you're with me, everything is on me. So if you're going to be missing out on income to be with me, I want to help you with that. I want to cover that. He's like, so I want you to come. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I do not take money from people. I do not ask for money from people. Like, I'd have to be starving to death, and I still might not ask for help. And he's like, please, would you just give me your banking information? I will make a deposit. I want you to come. Please say you'll come. And I'm like, all right, I'll come. And so I worked it out, you know, that I could leave my son, because it was going to be like 4 days instead of a weekend. So, so I got it all set up, and I got on the plane, and I flew to LA, and he picks me up at the airport, and he's like, hey, I'm really sorry. We got to go back to my office. I've got to still like finish a couple of things up. Do you mind? And I'm like, no, not at all. And so we go to his office, and he's introducing me to a few of his coworkers, and I'm just sitting in his office while he's finishing up details on a project that he was working on. And then we go downstairs and we eat this Oriental food. I think I want to say it was Vietnamese, but it wasn't pho. It was like meats and vegetables, and I can't remember, I think it's like noodles. But it was so good. So good. And he's like, I love this place. I come here like once a week. And it was yummy. It was really, really yummy. And so, and I had worn the green dress that I had got before. So I was dressed up really pretty, and we went and dropped my stuff off at his place and kind of got ready to go and went to the Quentin Tarantino thing, right? So we're walking down the street in the historic district, and as we're walking down the street, we just got to chit-chatting, and he was telling me that he wanted to take care of me. He'd actually even given me a key to his apartment, like right before we had left his apartment. And I'm like, what's this for? And he goes, I just want you to know that my place is your place, and you're welcome here anytime. And I'm thinking in my head, what does he think I'm going to do? Like, just hop on a plane and be like, hi, honey, I'm home. Like, I was confused. On top of the fact, I had a teenage son. Full time. So what was I going to do with my kid? Like, bring him with me in a 1-bedroom apartment? Like, that's not going to work. But anyways, beside the point. We're walking down the street and we're chit-chatting, and he's telling me, like, what would you want? Like, if there's anything you could have, what would it be? And then we just started chit-chatting about different things. And one of the things I brought up was that if I ever did plastic surgery, the only thing I would really probably change is my tummy, because I had cancer when I was a little girl. So my lower tummy has a scar, and it's harder to work on that area. So it never gets as tight as I want it to be. And I'm like, so I would probably get a tummy tuck. And he goes, well, how much does something like that cost? I'm like, I don't know, probably like $5-7 grand. I don't know. I really haven't seriously looked into it. And he says, well, you know what? I would pay for that if that made you happy. I would totally do that for you if it made you happy. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I was only with him the last time for barely, not even 3 days. Because, you know, you're like half a day when you get there and half a day when you leave, kind of a thing. So I knew him for a total of like 3 days. I'm like, no. Like, I'm good. Because I'm alone, and I would have to have someone take care of me post-op. Like, yeah, no. So we're just chit-chatting about it, and we get to the theater where this thing is going down, and I'm super excited about it. And we walk into it, and I want to say it's the old United Artists building. It's but it has this huge, well, not huge, but this really cool old theater. And I mean, it's ornate, and there's all kinds of stuff, ceiling, walls, everything is ornate and over the top. It's beautiful. And so we've got really good seats closer to the stage, and all the seats in the middle next to us are reserved. And the lights kind of start to dim, and people start shuffling into those reserved seats. And I turn around and I look behind me. Oh my God, you guys, Quentin Tarantino is literally sitting like 15 feet from me. He's like right there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And this woman gets on stage, and she's bragging about him, like when he first hit this scene, and he was different than everybody else. And she's like, we need to keep our eye on this guy. This guy is going places. And she's talking about him and all of the things that she's done and his accomplishments, and give it up for Quentin Tarantino. And he gets on stage. He's so funny, you guys. He's so funny. And he's giving his speech and he like almost drops his award and he's making fun of himself. And he calls up Tim Roth and Michael Madsen because they're sitting there and they go up on stage. And there are several other actors that I recognize, but I can't quite pin the name to, which usually I know these things. But anyways, it was so fun. It was so fun. And so then afterwards, there's this after party. And I was really hoping that Quentin Tarantino would be there so I'd get to meet him. But he didn't go. I was so upset. But whatever. I met all these cool people, like producers and directors and all these really cool people. But I met this one woman. Her name was Pamela, and she's from Italy. And she had like blonde hair. She's adorable. Oh my God, I just totally loved her right off the bat. And she was like telling the guy, she was like, this girl's so beautiful and sweet. You've got to treat her good. You better treat her good. And it was so cute. She was so fun. And we were just giggling and laughing and having a great time and like sampling different like wines and stuff that they had on display there and different drinks and different foods and socializing. And then we decide, so there's this blue building that's like right next to it. And it's got like a clock at the top. It's kind of a teal colored building, I want to say. And he's telling me like Johnny Depp lives in that building. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I love Johnny Depp, right? Oh my God, he was like my crush when I was a little girl. And I was like, ah, it would have been cool to meet him. But I didn't. So we go to the top of this building. They have this really cool, like, lounge area up there. And there's like a fireplace and glass windows so you can see through like the city. And there's all these people that are there. Sorry, I'm choking on my own spit. And I'm meeting all these other cool people there, and it's just super fun. And I'm having an absolute blast, right? So then the next day, we get up and we drive to Malibu. And we get a coffee in this cute little coffee shop and we drink it there and we're socializing. And then we go out and we sit on the beach and we watch the surfers. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And it was super, super fun. And then after that, so we go back to the historic district and we go over to the art district and we walk around and we went to the Earth Cafe for lunch, which I had to have another Spanish latte because that's just so good. And this time it has a cute little bird in it. It's so pretty. And we go back to that dress shop that I loved and bought the cutest little black dress. Like everyone needs a classic little black dress. Like one that you can dress down and wear casually, but you can dress it up and like go out to something fairly formal. It's beautiful. I love it. Okay. And then we go to different places in town. We're walking around and we go to this hotel. I need to look it up. I should have looked it up before I got on here and tell you the name of it, but it's the hotel lobby where the Ghostbusters was filming during that scene where they go find Slimer with all the gold on the walls and stuff. So I'm walking around this building like, oh, this is the coolest. Oh my God. And I'm so excited. It's so pretty. And so it was just really cool. He was just showing me a lot of the city that day and that evening. And it was just a lot of fun. And we ended up going back to that steakhouse that I loved and had dinner there again. And it was just so fun. Then the next day, we got up and drove to Pasadena. He wanted to show me this hot yoga studio that he always goes to. And he's just like, it's great. You're going to love it. You work out all the time. So this is totally right up your alley. You'll love it. So I'd never done hot yoga before. Didn't quite know what to expect. I'm telling you what, you want to sweat like yourself almost silly. I never sweat that much in my life. Oh my God, I was dripping. It was gross. So he goes and gets, you know, dressed up for this, and I go get changed into my yoga stuff, and he comes out in these little black, like, spandex bicycle shorts, and I'm like, oh, like, oh my God, that's all he's wearing. And he's the only man in the yoga studio. I was like so embarrassed. But oh no, it gets worse. So he's doing a human bridge at the end when you're supposed to be relaxing and letting the energy, all of the negative energy flow out, right? Because you know how that goes. And I happened to look over, human bridge, not with his back in the air, but his stomach and the crotch in the air kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I have to go home with this guy. What the hell is wrong with him? So we leave, we get dressed, of course, and we leave and we go to this health food store. He wants to make me his like famous green smoothie. And so we go back to his place and he makes this green smoothie. He juices everything all up. And I kid you not, like he goes and he drinks the smoothie, right? And he's like, I can feel the nutrients penetrating my body. Like I bust out laughing. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? He's like, what? I'm like, no, really? You're serious? I'm sorry. I'm such an asshole. So, and then like we're getting ready to leave and like he kisses me and I had told him, like, you've got to change that. Like, you can't, I'm like, you have to move your tongue around. Like, you can't just stick out. It's like a dance. You got to move with each other. And he's like, oh. So he tries again. And yeah, no. I even kind of like lightly slapped him. I'm like, stop it! Like, that's not how you do it. Oh my God. So we finish getting ready and he tries to kiss me again and he pulls away from the embrace and he goes, I love you. And I go, and he goes, too soon? And I'm like, yeah, too soon. Oh, like, no, too soon. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm like, okay. And so we leave and we go to, we go down to the park because the B-52s are supposed to be playing and they're not there yet, but there is a line like all the way around the park twice just to get in. And I'm like, oh God. And he goes, you know what? Maybe we don't want to wait in that line. Because we did for a minute. We were like, no, screw this. So we go to the Key Bank building and we go all the way to the top. And I don't know if you've ever been down there, but like, so it's a white, fairly like round building and it's pretty tall. It's really tall. So at the top of this building, they have like glass walls so you can see the whole city. From there, you can see all the way to the ocean. It is the coolest thing. So I'm up there like taking panorama photos of everything, like the whole downtown LA. So cool. It was so cool. So we can like even look down into that park where they were playing. It was like awesome. So, and there's even this tunnel thing and I'm like standing on it looking down like, it literally, so you remember like in Star Wars? Where there's that tunnel that goes way down and Luke Skywalker's like crawling up the sides of it. It reminded me of that. And I'm like looking down, I'm like, whoa. I'm like on the Death Star. No. So we leave and we go walk to the park and we just kind of sat like right outside the park so we could still kind of see them and hear the music. And we're like kind of, you know, just enjoying the music and having fun with it. And then we went over to Louise to have creme brulee again because I love it. And then we went back to his place and we sat on the roof for a little while. Because it's really cool in downtown LA how a lot of the buildings have either like a common area where people hang out, or a restaurant or a club or something at the top of the building. It's the coolest thing. So I love that. I think that is so awesome. So so the last day that I was there, I had told him previously that I love the Queen Mary. And I've seen it, I've been there, but I've never been able to walk around on the ship. And he goes, well, that's what we were going to do. So we drove to Long Beach and we went to see the Queen Mary. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. Like, we walked all over that ship. We got to see like the propellers and the water, and all the way up to the top, they had a whole like Princess Diana exhibit up there. You couldn't touch anything, but it was like, you got to see all like her dresses and her jewelry and some of her furniture and all this stuff. It was so cool. Got to be out on the bow of the ship, do the whole like thing where you're like, yay, like on the movie, the Titanic. And it feels kind of like you're on the Titanic because, you know, it's the sister ship. So I love this boat. We walked all over that boat. We ate lunch on the boat. Really, really good food. And it was so funny. So he asks for a sample of a couple of different beers because he didn't know which one to order. And he takes like a small drink of one of the beers and he's like, closes his eyes and he's all rolling it around. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Like, don't you do that with wine? But he was smelling it, doing all that stuff like you would with wine tasting. And I'm like, it's beer. Not that I'm a beer drinker, because I'm not. That stuff's disgusting. But I'm like, just weird, whatever. But it was super fun. Super, super fun. So as we're leaving the parking lot, he realizes we're like almost out of time. So I never got to see the ballroom that supposedly was on the Titanic. I got to see a ballroom, so I'm not 100% sure if it's actually on that ship or not, because I didn't see one. But I saw the other ballroom. Big, beautiful. I have a huge, awesome panoramic view of the whole thing. But as we're leaving the parking lot, there was a concert going on, and so they had a bunch of cones set up to kind of direct traffic. And he kept trying to get out and couldn't get out and was getting really frustrated, and he's all cussing and swearing, and I'm looking at him like, okay, getting angry and cussing and swearing does not look good on this guy. Even him trying to sing heavy metal just looks ridiculous on this guy. Because he's got this like, I don't know, prim properness about him. So as he's losing his temper, I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, hang on a second. So I get out of the car and I go and I move one of the orange cones and I usher him through. And I put the cone back and I get back in the car and I'm like, there, wasn't that easier? And he goes, well, you handled that better than I would. And I'm like, yeah. And you lost your temper. How did that work out for you? And he was like, all right, well, you did better than I would. And I'm like, okay. So then we're driving towards the airport because I've got to get to the airport. My plane's leaving shortly. So we're almost to the airport and he starts telling me, he's like, well, I don't want to make you late, so I figure like I'll just drop you off and kiss you goodbye at the door. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. And he goes, and I'm thinking about saying something else. And I go, yeah, no, please don't. Because I'm just saying, like, I kind of already heard it. So I'm just saying you probably shouldn't. And he reaches over and he grabs my hand and he goes, I do, Rochelle. I love you. And I'm like, okay, I need to stop you right there. I am not ready for all of this. I am not ready. It's too much, too fast. I'm not there yet. Like, you've got to slow down because I'm telling you right now I'm going to run. And he's like, oh, okay, okay. You know, and we get to the airport and I get out and he walks around and he gets my bag for me and he gives me a kiss goodbye and I thank him for a wonderful weekend and I get on my plane and I'm flying home and I I had an absolute blast, right? It was way fun. And so he's messaging me and he's telling me, so I made a deposit. I hope that's enough. Thank you so much for coming. I had a wonderful time. And I get home and I check my banking account. He had put $1,000 in my bank account. I was like, oh my God, this is too much money. This is way too much money. I do not want this much money. And he's like, look, Rochelle, I care about you. I don't want you to struggle. He's like, you know, I make good money. And when you're with me, it's on me. I've told you this. And I mean, I knew this already because we had discussed it. We had talked. His bonus, just his bonus, was more than I made all year. So, not that that's an excuse for him to give me money, but he's like, look, it's not that big of a deal to me, Rochelle. It's fine. And I'm like, well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You know, and I get my kids' school clothes. I get my kid set up for school fees paid, all of that stuff. And it's August. I'm super busy at work. And yes, he's used to messaging me a lot. Well, a particular day at work, I was super busy. Like I had absolutely no breaks. And when I got done from work, I checked my phone and there was a message from him that said, you know what? I will just send you your belongings because I had left the bottle of perfume that you can't take on the airplane because it's over an ounce. My face creams, I'd left a pair of my favorite boots there because I had bought a pair of shoes for my son that I knew he would love while I was in LA, and I brought those home to my son. So I left my boots there because, you know, I was planning on going back at some point. So yeah, he wrote me, I will send you your things and I will miss you greatly. It's obvious that your feelings for me have changed. And I'm looking at my phone like, what the hell? So I called him and I'm like, what? And he's like, well, it's obvious that you just don't care as much about me. Your feelings for me have changed. And I was like, look, I care about you and I appreciate everything you do for me. But when I'm busy at work, I can't just check my phone every 5 minutes. Like, I'm busy. I was just busy. And he has this whole meltdown. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's just like I have a sore on my face and it's really ugly and I feel hideous. And I was like, what the hell? Are you like 12? I'm like, overreacting much? Like, I told you that I felt like things were moving too fast and that it was putting a lot of pressure on me. And he's like, oh, okay, so like, we're good? We can just like slow down and stuff? And I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, oh, okay, I can do that. I can do that. And then he starts telling me about this like football game. So I told him that I'm not a huge football fan necessarily, but I've never been to a live football game. And I says, but here's the thing. Saints are my team because I love Drew Brees. He is a classy guy. Like, he's a great team leader. You never see him trash talking. I just think he's a classy guy. So if I have to pick a team, my team is the Saints. So he bought tickets to, what's LA's team? The Chargers, I think. Yeah. So, but then when they're playing the Saints, and he bought tickets 2 rows back. I don't even want to know how much he paid for those tickets. And he's like, I want like, okay, but just so you know, we've got to like slow things down. And he's like, okay, well, that's fine. And then, so I planned on going, and then he started this, this thing where he was kind of being a little bit clingy, a little bit needy in his messages. And I was like, okay, we talked about this. And he said that, he's like, well, you know, what was it? He said something. He started getting upset with me. And I said, look, I'm going to tell you right now. I think that there's just too much pressure here. And I care about you. I like you, but I'm kind of starting to think that maybe we should back off. Like, not necessarily like, let's just be friends, but when I do come out, maybe I should just stay in a hotel, you know? And he's like, no, absolutely not. No, that's not going to happen. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of where I'm at, because he was inviting himself to come to my house. I have a son at home. You're not coming to my house yet. Like, this is too soon. Technically, I've only been with you for 7 days. So I let him know that I appreciated everything he did for me, and he's a great guy, and I want him to be happy no matter what that means. And he was like, you know what? How about you just send me back the money I gave you? And I was like, wait, what? I've already spent some of that money. Like, that was a gift. I'll send you back what I haven't spent if that's what you want. And I'm like, you're the one that broke up with me, because he called and he's like, you're not giving me what I need and this. And I was like, wait a minute, you broke up with me, remember? Like, what is it you want from me? And he had this meltdown. I said, you know what? Maybe we should just be friends. Like, I wish you happiness. Like, I'll send you what I have left, and you can, like, send me back my stuff. And my friends were like, oh, hell no. That was a gift. You don't send him back anything. That was a gift. You're a single mother, and you don't get child support. So the fact that he gives you a gift and asks for it back, that's bullshit. And even my brother was like, that's bullshit. Don't you dare give him a dime. And he, like, was so rude. He was so rude to me in a text. And I said, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm done. And I blocked him on everything. Social media, messenger, text messaging, phone calls. I blocked him on everything. I'm like, yeah, no, this is not how I'm going to be treated. So thanks for sticking through me through that one. End of LA guy. And I will see you next time. If you liked it, please subscribe.